gamers, Matt Lemke here with True Gamer Goggles in another complete package, gamer-goggles.com. In this episode, we'll be opening up Heavy Gear Blitz's tank mode Hussar, and then we will be putting it together after we take a short break and cleaning it up. It has a lot of pieces, as you can see. So this is a quite a complicated model, I'm guessing. I haven't put one of these together yet. So we're going to do that here today, actually. Wow, there's a lot to this model. I think that maybe we might have to magnetize this model. I'm going to have to take a look at my book and see what the options are for it, because there's a lot of bits. I'm going to guess there's 90 pieces or more. So we're going to take a break. We're going to cut all this stuff off the sprue, and we're going to use our picture here to assemble the Hussar together. And we'll be back after a short break. Okay, we're back with the complete package of the Hussar Tank variant. As you can see, there are a great many pieces. I'm a little bit overwhelmed since there's no instructions. Real quick, we'll go over the pieces. We've got 4 turret mounts, weapon set with chain guns, the exhaust ports, light field cannon, 2 missile packs, one for an ABM, and I believe it's for a 24. Heavy autocannon with the vibro sword. The front main body of the Hussar tank. The rear treads, or this would actually be for when it's in gear mode. The turret swivel mount, or I guess you'd call it the connector of the body. And here's your main turret mount. Now let's see, in the middle here we have the arm pieces with the hands and 2 heads, and this is, where is it? This is for your light machine gun, which I don't see here. Well, I'll find it as we go. It seems to be missing, which is a bad thing. It was here the other day when I was cleaning them up. I have gone ahead and I have cleaned them up. I have actually already gone ahead and pre-drilled some holes for magnetizing. Like, you see this part needs to come off, but I was just doing that so I could hold it easier. I used 1mm magnet, rare earth, for the turrets. I'm not going to do that on them all. No. One thing you might have just noticed is mine came out because it wasn't glued. Because that's how tight the fit was. So if you're careful, you don't have to glue these. And if you notice it's recessed, I had to recess it and make sure that it was at the right height. So I had to cut out more to make sure that I could get the magnet in and out. I'm obviously going to have to glue this one. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to start. Oh, there it is. The light machine gun. Right there by the hands. A little tiny piece. We're going to go ahead and we're going to pull this stuff off real quick. I'm going to put the turrets over here. We're going to go ahead. I also pre-drilled this hole and this one is actually pre-magnetized already. You can see I've been using it. This would be the one I used to do all my marks with. That's not such a bad fit there. A little tight. Might have to carve it out a little bit. But the 1mm drill and the rare earth magnets at 1mm, that is a pretty good fit. That magnet is actually not glued. I will probably have to glue it at some point in time. I'm sure with expansion and contraction it'll come out. So we're going to go ahead and set all the weapons off to one side. We're really going to bounce around a lot in this video because there's so many pieces. We're going to grab something, glue it together, set it aside, let it dry. We're going to try and move it at a pretty quick pace. I would like to have this model assembled in an hour. The key to that is going to be making sure that you have all your parts organized and set aside with where they go. If you have a pair of tweezers or medical forceps work really good, you might need those for this model because there are a lot of intricate small pieces. Oh, and see these things? These are important. Save them. They may look like pieces of sprue and whatnot, but I have already learned that they're a little important for this model. Some of these pieces I still haven't figured out where they go, so we're going to do that as we go. Since I've got it in my hand, we're going to go ahead and start with the light autocannon and the sword piece here. Now, I already learned something. On my next Hussar Tank variant, well actually on the rest of my Hussars, I'm going to take the time and I'm going to cope this gap here so it fits because I think it'll be a lot easier to glue. But right now, we're using Zap Gap glue, and I'm just going to drop a tiny drop in there. Tiniest little drop I can fit. I do not want a lot in there. And if I need it, I'm going to use Zip Kicker. I'm hoping not to need it. Set that aside, let it dry. Then why not? I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to grab my little machine gun stub that goes in the bottom of my turret here. This goes in here like this. Like that. I'm going to go ahead, and so I have a little handle, I'm going to try putting it in here first. That might be a bad idea. No, I don't think that's a bad idea. I'm going to put that in there first. Let's zoom in a little bit for you. Get you good and close on this. Take a little drop of glue. This is one of those times where maybe I should have a little bit of glue off to the side for these little delicate pieces. Because that's more glue than I really need. Take one of my little foam things. Take some of that glue out of there. There. Set that off to the side and let it dry. I'm going to go ahead and cut this piece off here. One thing that's really cool about the Hussar that I am liking is the resin's really soft. So the model cleaned up really easy. That's how easy this cleans up. I mean, the resin is just that soft. Now, don't cut yourself when you do it like I almost did. That's just how easy it is. Now watch, I just cut a part of the model that I can't see in the picture. I don't think that's part of the model, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to whack that off. And if it is, I'll just have to deal with it and fix it on my next one. I got 2 more coming. There. Now we're going to move on to the base of the tank, because I think it's going to take a little bit of time to dry. Very first thing I noticed about the base of the tank is that it's 3 pieces. This piece, these 2 pieces, doesn't, well, yeah, they do matter. There's 2 little divots there, ball sockets, and then there's the joints here and the, I guess, tread protector. Just kind of floats freely. So what can you do to fix that problem? I was sitting here and I'm thinking, I'm looking, and check it out. Gives you about the same gap all the way through. You just have to make sure that when you do the gluing, you have it on a flat level surface and you put that in there. You can wrap a rubber band around it, or you can just hold it. Don't hold it too tight, you'll shoot yourself in the face. Just like that. When you pull that out, it's going to be about the right size. So I'm going to go ahead and put just a little bit of glue in these 2 holes. Then I'm going to put it in one side, put it in the other side, put this in there like this, hold it for a 10 count. That's what they say it should take to dry the glue, about 10 seconds. They're always wrong, because humidity actually plays a factor in this. And once I decide it's holding itself together. Now the other thing you could do too, if, well, I can't show you right now, but if you decide that it's, when you pull this piece out, it's not coming together right, you can take one of these flat pieces of sprue, like this, and you can make a brace in the right spot across the bottom of the tracks. You'd have to, I'll use the back for an example here, you'd have to figure out where it's going to be, notch it a little bit, so that it stays level with the rest of the table or your base, however you want to do it. And then you could just glue that in there, make a base with it, and you've got, you know, free stuff to work with, which is pretty important. Now, we're going to move on to the first weapons rack, I think. Well, we're going to go, yeah, we're going to move on to a weapons rack. We're going to do one that I don't think I'm going to need to magnetize, because I think that once this is on here, it's going to be fine. So I'm going to put a drop of glue in here on one side. Just like so. Pop that in there. You know, now you could magnetize these so they swivel. I'm not going through all that effort today. I may do that on one tank that I really want to, you know, doctor up and make a premier tank. But I'm not really going to do that. Like, I already noticed one thing I did wrong with the tank. I should have primed and painted the inside of the treads first. I'll do that on the next ones. I'll struggle with the first one. Today's more about getting this video up for people. I'm going to set that aside and make sure it dries so I don't break off the other weapon when I go to glue it. Okay. Now, I think we need to move on to another heavy weapon. And we'll go to one of these missile racks. You can see there that I have a magnet in one and I have a magnet in the other. So here's the dummy way to make sure your magnets go the right way. Take your 2 rare earth magnets, and I'm taking 2 because I want to be able to get it out. Let me show you. Now you can see it. Now, this is the side that's done. Take it in there like that. Boom. Now, the trick is, how am I going to get that back out of there? Well, I'm going to pop this off first. I'm going to take a Sharpie because it's a lot easier in this instance. I don't normally use a Sharpie. I just mark it, glue it on, and make sure I put it in the hole, and then I glue the model part to it. But these are a little bit tougher to do that with because of what they are. So now that's in there. Now the trick is getting it out. Now, I do have a couple ideas for an experiment on this. Like I'm going to use Saran wrap maybe in the future. I don't know how good that is. Now you have to be careful when you're working with your knife like this, not to stab yourself. But if you do it just right, you'll pop that magnet out of there. Maybe. Or, if fate shines on you, sometimes it's just loose enough that you can pull it out with multiple magnets. Not the case today. Maybe a bigger magnet. Let's try this experiment for you. It'd help if I didn't have those on it. Let's see what happens. Nope. Trick won't work, so you gotta do it the hard way. Ta-da. Now, you might have noticed that the magnet kind of flipped over. So, it was a good thing we marked that one. You take one of these over here, like this. Well, you can do one of two things. Now that you know that that magnet is marked, which you can barely see, that magnet's marked and that's the top, and this is the side that sticks, you can flip this magnet over and do a check, and it just shot that rocket pod across the table. So you can take it and you can cheat and put it in the other side. Push it down a little. You don't want to push it down all the way. There, about there. So I actually pushed this one down too far because these are recessed. It'll still work. There's a little bit of a gap, but in time I think that's going to work its way out. I can take this drill bit, push it down a little bit more, because that one's not glued in there. I can live with that gap while I'm playing. Pull that one out. That one's done. Set it aside. So now I've got two magnets. That one sits in there flush. And I gotta mark the other one. Because I have, actually I need to do it with 3 sets yet, but basically all I do is I drop, if I can flip it over, a dab of glue in the middle, and I know that once you've marked it, that's the side that you want to be glued down. So we're going to start with the easier one. Basically, you just kind of want to push it, and it pops out. Now, that's my marked side right there. So you want to make sure your marked side's up. Find a way to set it into the middle of the glue. Now I'm going to work on getting the other side out. it's already marked, which this one's going to be a little bit trickier because I pushed it down so far. So what I want to do is I want to take something, I want to use something that, oh, shit. I want to use something that's not magnetic to push it back into the middle. Set that aside to dry, get it out of your way. Pop this magnet out here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to. Yeah, magnets are a little bit of a pain in the butt, but you know what? When you have a model where they've taken the time to give you 5 different loadouts effectively, you should do it. I'm just going to loosen this up a little bit here so I can pop this out. I'm going to get them both out actually, it looks like. There we go. Got it out. Now I want to flip it over. Like so. Put it in here to glue it on. This is where a little wood dowel would be great. Or a toothpick, which I don't have down here for some reason. Slide it back into the middle. I know I've got the right side down, because see those black marks there? That's the ink of the marker from the super glue coming off. Now I got one more to do. We're going to use this side because it's easier to get it out. Mark it real quick. Take your handy dandy knife. Flip it over so the mark goes down, which, it's not. I'll fix that though. The mark's down. See how dark it is compared to the rest of the magnet? Put this on here. Like that. I got glue on, darn it. Slide that off. Oh, got problems, Houston. It's always a bad thing when you glue your finger to the model. And it's even worse when the magnet sticks to your hand. So, try this again. See, good thing I checked it. The ink came off from the marker. When in doubt, use your fingernail. Hey, maybe I should grow them long for that. Oh. As soon as this dries, I'm going to be in trouble. So I got to get it into the middle now before it dries. Set that aside and let it dry. Grab one of your gun ports, like this. Another little drop of glue. Bam. Make sure that the missiles are facing the front. I actually want the other one this way, I think. Give it like a 10 count, let it dry. Otherwise you're going to set it aside and it's going to fall over. Grab the other gun that we did already. I'm going to try and line them up. They probably don't have to be. In the future, they could probably be firing at 4 different targets. But I like the idea of those guns roughly being on the same line as opposed to this. Concentrated fire power. That's probably enough glue for that. Take the little hole there. Find the divot. I'm actually going to look on the camera and line this up because it's easier. I won't get my head in the video. Hold it for a few seconds. Move it off camera to dry. Come back here to the base of our tank. See? Nice little no gap. Plenty of no paint. Because I boo-booed. Make sure that you don't boo-boo. Again, you can look underneath and see the same thing. Take the rear treads. Rear treads are nice because they go either way, but if you notice, it looks like there's a little bit of sprue mark there and there. So I'm going to put these nicer holes to the outside. I'm going to use these on the inside. And that's where those go. Like that. I'm actually going to do one at a time. I'm not going to rush that and do two, because I got plenty of time to come back to that. That's a little too much glue. Wipe some of it off. Go like this. Slide it aside. Keep it on my level surface. Let nature take its course. Let it dry. Come back here. Look at... I've got this one with the magnet in it already, so I'm going to start working on that one maybe right after I magnetize this one. So my magnet's up front. It's going to be for the 2 light field guns probably. So I need to put... I need to put a hole in here, right up towards the front with the drill. Basically what I did is I look here, I'm like, okay, right about there. Basically it's a drill bit in. So drill bit in. You don't need a big hole for this because it is recessed. Oh, that might be too far back. I might have goofed it up. That is way too far back. So I'll take one of the ones that I can't. I already used them. Well, I'll just drill this on an angle a little bit. Clean it out some. Take my knife. Because you don't need a deep hole because there's probably a 1/16 of an inch recess there, a couple 30 seconds, 3 seconds maybe. Problem. In fact, on one of them, I think I just glued it right on. So let's take my little... There we go. Carve this out here a little bit more. It needs it. Try and do this without cutting yourself. Never fails. I always make one mistake. I could have got my rulers out and measured it, but my eyeball's usually better than that. That's okay. Now you see me fix my mistake. Now if I did this again, I would move this hole back here farther to about here. A little bit more center. The reason why I didn't want to do that is I wanted to stay away from this section here. I wanted to drill into the body of the vehicle. But I could have given myself another 1/16 of an inch, I think, than I did. So we're going to drill this out a little bit more. See if I can't get it in the right spot. That'll work. very carefully, I am going to put a little bit of glue on something that I'm going to throw out. Or never ever using it. Then I'm going to take one of these pieces of crappy screw that's left over. We'll just put a little bit of glue right on top of that. Just enough to glue it. Then I'm going to put this in here. And I'm going to set it aside because the magnet in the bottom is not glued. So if they're in the right spot, I know that for sure. So I'm going to go ahead and set that aside. I'm going to grab the one that I have put the magnet on, and I'm going to glue the field gun onto it. Oh, I'm sorry, this is probably the rail gun. I have to go look again. And I'm going to put it kind of shooting up a little bit, I think. No, I'm going to put it shooting about there. So, we're going to go ahead and grab my glue, which I set aside. Make sure that that's the front, because it does only go on one side. I suppose you could flip it. No, you can't flip it. So make sure you put it on the right-hand side. I'm not going to take a lot of glue. The other cool thing about resin that I like, it dries fast. That's good already to go. So I can find the ammo crate. I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to balance that out. I'm going to put it on the other side right now. It goes like that. And then you've got the, where's that? The gun belt for the cannon is going to go across the top. Pretty much like that. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in here first. I noticed that there's a little bit of discrepancy with the angling of it, so I'm going to try and play with that a little bit while this is drying. If it's not too late, try and fix that. And it looks like it is. When you do yours at home, try and do something I didn't do. This sits flush on top of the ammo. So I would think maybe you should probably do the ammo first, and then it'll be easier to match the gun to it. As a result, I'm going to have, well, that gap's probably there in real life anyway if it was real instead of being in here. So I guess that's okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue the gun on. Or the ammo on top. A drop of glue there should be more than enough. And a drop of glue there should be more than enough to hold this in place. I'm going to set that aside and I have one weapon done. Oops, I have one weapon done. Well, actually I have two weapons done because this is done too. We're going to grab the body of the tank again, put the other side on. Set it aside, let it dry, keep it level. Came apart a little bit, so I'll have to hold it a little bit longer. Now these are being a little bit stubborn because they're slightly different size than the treads in the front. They're actually off the ground. So a little bit of cardstock underneath these while they're drying probably perfect. 20-pound test. And then we're going to move into what I really kind of don't want to move into. Well, we're going to pull this over here real quick. Now, probably the hardest part about this is figuring out these gun belts. Okay? Now, if you... Yeah, you can see that. I can tell you can see that. Right there, that's all dead stuff. You don't need that. That comes off. You got these gun belts, which I'm going to have to take a look at before I try and glue them. I'm not sure exactly where they go. That's one. I'm not entirely sure where they go on the underside at all. So I have to do a little bit of research, looking at the pictures online, before I can glue them together. But they're probably going to be the toughest part of this model, in my opinion. I think that this one, top one, probably goes here and sits on top like that. That's my theory. The question is, where do the bottom ones go? And the bottom ones look like they have a shorter belt. The question is, what do they glue to? They just glue to the... I guess they glue in there like that. But I'm going to look at that before we do it online. And actually, I am going to go ahead and glue the top one on... I'm going to glue one on each side, just to see how tough it might be. And it looks like it sits right in that little groove. So you go... I'm going to clean that off a little bit before I glue that, because that's a piece that doesn't look like it belongs there from that flashing. There we go. And now I'm going to come back here, and I want the other one. I want the other one, because I'm goofy. I cut the wrong one up. Put that. It does matter, people. I probably should have put these in hot water first. Formed them. No, that's pretty good. That's not so bad. Maybe I will just do them, because it looks like that's where that goes. Now we're going to grab these real quick, and let's see how I did. Take this drill, push this in here a little bit farther if I can, which I can. A little bit deeper. That's acceptable, though, for something that comes off and on, I think. The ABM. And look, all the magnets work. Nothing repels. Oops. Where's the other one? As you can see, no opposed thrust. Yay! Pick it up. Now, we're going to finish this guy off by gluing him in there. And as you can see, I got glue all over my fingers, so this is going to start getting tougher. Because I started with the big pieces. So the small pieces are not going to be fun. I'm actually going to make that guy pose up a little bit more. Set him over to the side and let him dry. Yep, set him over to the side and let him dry. Now we're moving on to what is probably the most complicated part. Well, actually, we'll go back here real quick and we'll pull this off. Glue it on just fine. And actually, I've got 2 magnets in it. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start with these 2 field guns. And we're going to glue one of them in here. Does it matter which side they go on? That's the question. I like that look better. Just a little drop of glue. Take that. Should probably take that and put it under a little hot water. Hold it for a little bit. Set it aside. Set that aside. Now we're going to grab the parts to make the arm. I'm also going to carve some glue off my finger because, well, I need the dexterity. Okay. So, got a hand. Got an arm with a socket joint. Got a hinged arm for greater posability. We'll call that the forearm. And you got the bicep, which is this little triangular shaped polygon-ish type of thing. And you got the shoulder joint, which at first I thought was a pulley when I first looked at it. Now, grabbing your tank, nope, not even grabbing your tank. This is the hard part. This is going to glue into here. I'm not really sure which way to go. And then this little shoulder blade cover, little thin cap with the triangular arrow will go in here. This goes underneath that cap, like this. Right here. As best I can tell. And the hand clearly goes in here. So, we really don't know what the best way to do this is. So, I'm going to start with the ball joint. I'm going to let it dry. Then, I'm going to glue the hand in it. As far as I can tell, there is no difference between right and left on this model, except for the light cannon, the light auto cannon. It goes on the right-hand side. Now, I'm not really totally sure, sold on that yet either. It might go both ways. And I'm going to go ahead and pick a hand. As far as I can tell, there is no difference in these hands, I mean, functional-wise. So you just pick one. They give you 4. Maybe it's got 4 arms and I don't know it. I'm going to glue a hand in here. Going to do a little bit of work to see where it's going to be at. That'll be the outside of the model. So I'm going to glue that hand there like this. I just knocked that down. Don't move it. Oh, that's already dry. That's awesome. It's a little crooked, but that's okay. It's transforming. Take this, pop a little bit of glue in here, just a little bit of glue. That's probably too much glue. I probably could have cleaned this hand up a little bit more. In fact, I'm going to grab one of the ones that is pretty clean. Simple. Yeah, it's a little bit tighter. I like that better. Hold that until it dries. The way it's been drying today, it's probably a 10 count, as long as you don't move. Since I'm talking, I'm moving. I just glued my finger together. It is really just not cooperating, the hand. I can't believe the shoulder joint went together like nothing. The hand doesn't want to do anything for me. Five, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, I'm going to do something. Pop that out. I didn't want to use zip kicker on this whole model, but I'm going to. I need to move to the next step. Well, now I got zip kicker all over that piece. I'm going to swap it out with the other side, the arm for the other side that I was going to use. Boom. Okay. Now, when you do this, you need to be pretty careful. In fact, I'm grabbing a pair of tweezers. Because I really think this should almost have been more than one piece the way they designed it. Ah, shoot. I'm going to lay it down upside down real quick. Grab this so you can see it from the top. The arrow does point down. It goes in here like this. Goes in here like this. And then your arm piece that looks like this it's being a little stubborn. Aha! Looks like that. Goes underneath it. Something like that. And then this joint goes in here. What do I do? It goes in here like this. And then this goes here like this. And then this is posable. Suppose if you really wanted to get technical, you could drill that out and pin it. That's a little bit excessive for me. At least at this point in my gaming life. So I'm going to put a dab of glue at the base here. Put this in here with the arrow down. Try not to put too much glue in it. Try not to get any on your hands. I'm going to try and keep it fairly square and flush. It's already dry. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just glue this as square as I can make it. That's how it fits. Let's see if it's square on the other side. Not really. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to glue that. Because it goes in here like this. And then that goes on top of the tank. Like this. It's starting to look like a tank. So, bringing this back on camera for you. go ahead and put a drop in there. That wasn't much of a drop. Put a little bit more on the other side. And then pop that in there. Let it dry. I'm going to grab the other piece, the other side. We'll pop some glue in that hole there for the hand. Let it dry. For whatever reason, the handpiece doesn't want to dry as fast as everything else. I don't get it. Maybe I'm applying too much pressure. Of course, that's the wrong hand. Well, the good news to that is most people won't know. Look at that. Now it's stuck right in there. Huh. Imagine that. Okay. On to our next phase. Putting that bad boy in there like that. Let's sit on top of the tank like that. So I'm going to put some glue on the side in the corner like that, and put that there, and I'm going to hold this because if I don't, it won't stick. Wow, it's dry already. Well, it's not dry. It takes 24 hours to cure. It's starting to look like a tank. Well, it looks to me like I'm going to have to try and put the light autocannon on the other side, because if I put that on this side, it's going to be on the ground. So I guess it does matter on the angles and how you do it. So do your posability first. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue this on here like that right now before I go any farther with the arm. Where is... Well, there's supposed to be something on the outside there, but I don't see anything that resembles it. It'll turn up. Maybe. So the question is, did I do that wrong? Well, I don't remember seeing this piece here. Let me pull out the picture so you guys can be aware of it when you do it at home. This bar here, I don't seem to have. I don't know if it's a missing model part or if I lost it. I'll have to look into that. Maybe order myself a piece. But I'm definitely going to put the light autocannon on the other arm. Like that. Something like that. So I'm going to do that now. Man, I don't know. No, I'm not doing that now. I'm doing this first. I'm doing the other side. Put a dab of glue in there. Take a little bit of that glue out, because that's too much glue in my opinion. Grab the other shoulder piece. Make sure that I put it on right. This one I'm going to try and angle up just a hair, because it seems like the arms drag down a little bit. Then I'm going to grab grab the little piece here with the triangle on it, this little shield shoulder pad, what I'll call it. Put a dab of glue in here. Slide that off the table. Put that in there like that. Let it dry. Take the arm piece, put some nice square as square can be in that. I have to move quick with this. Put a dab of glue in there. Put a dab of glue on the other side. That in there, make it as square can be. Take a look at my model here. Just gonna go in there like that. I think that's better than I had before. So I'm gonna put a little bit of glue on the side here, a little bit there. I'm gonna put it there. Hold him until he dries. And I'm running out of battery, so I'm probably going to have to stop in a minute or two. Ha! Look at, he looks funny upside down. There. He goes like that. And this gun goes on here like this. That'll be my next step. Really, there's not a whole lot after that. So maybe we'll be able to finish this up and I'll just be able to do the ending. But glue that on there like that. Hold it till it dries. Look at that. That's actually kind of cool. Then I will come back here, grab this. Put a drop in there. Grab the other portion of the field cannon for it. Line them up as best I can. Pretty much like that. Set it down, let it dry. Start pulling everything back on here so you can kind of get an idea where we're at before I run out of, in case I run out of video. That gun there. That gun there. Basically, I have about 10 pieces left, and you have seen everything pretty much. I'm going to go ahead and stop. And we're ready to finish this model up. As you can see, it's pretty much done. I really like the magnetics, and I don't know, just looking at it right now, you're not going to be able to tell real quick, but it's cold in Ohio, and this one barrel was bent, so I went and I held this in front of the fan for my fireplace for a count of 3, and look at how much it straightened up. So it doesn't take a lot of heat. Boiling water, hot water, boiling water is probably extreme, just like the old days of playing football and molding your mouthpiece. Magnetized and ready to go. Whoops. That's the wrong one. Hey, where's... Uh-oh. Do-do-do-do-do. There's my two ABMs. Well, it was here 30 seconds ago. I was checking them to make sure they all worked. When I did it, I actually have them reversed. But that's okay. I like it that way because then when you go to put these away, you can stick them together, your extra set, so they're in the same place. And if you lose them, you lose a set, not just one. So, moving right along, it took me quite some time to figure out where these two ammo/storage canisters went, because they're not really visible in the picture at all. They hinge in just like that. So I'm going to put a dab of glue, just a dab. I really don't want too much. I hate painting super glue. Put that on there. Count to maybe 10. Flip it over. Do the same thing to the other side. Now, I am toying with the idea of not gluing this turret on here. Because, well, one, when you have your tank on there, it sits pretty good. Two, it might be safer to... No, I guess it's not going to be. These I understand being separate. This piece I don't. Because look at that. How are you going to store that? On the model is better. So figure out if you want it rotated, doing something different. I wonder if I could have turned that. You can actually have that arm fully extend out with that autocannon punch like it's punching and shooting above the treads, I believe. I'll have to try that on my next one. Then, we'll move on. No need to bore you. These pieces go here, and the other one goes on the other side. So, I'm going to clean that up a little bit more, just because I can. And just because I wanted to show you, I got a little bit of super glue on my knife, but this is how easy this resin cleans up. I'm going to put 2 dabs of glue on here, right in the corner. The other thing that's cool about the resin is the glue dries fast. That piece is dry already. And oh, I put it on there wrong. I'm trying to break that off there. There's a little notch right there, and that goes into this corner here. Hold that for like a count of 10. 5 maybe, because it's a nice resin. Kablam. Piece is starting to come together. Set that off camera. I'm going to grab these real quick. Where the heck? Well, it's going to annoy me that I can't find my other rocket pod. I'm going to go ahead and do the other top mounted one. Oh, look at that. That little piece of black there. I dipped it in some super glue accidentally, apparently, and I glued it to some black poster board. So I'm going to try and clean that off since it goes on the top. Little pieces are not always easy to clean. And I'm going to go ahead and... Well, it looks like I made a boo-boo here. I don't know if I can... Oh, I can. Looks like you're going to have to take a little bit of time, play with these a little bit underneath some heat. Move them around. They are actually supposed to rest right in that little... right in there like that. So, I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of glue on this side real quick. And I'm going to push that in there. And drop it. And drop it. Now I gotta put a little dab of glue here. Hopefully I don't glue my fingers to this model right now. And hold it there like that. Now sadly I actually have to hold this because if I let go it's gonna pop. See? Like it just did. Well, it actually kind of makes sense that it fits like that because gravity would be pulling the belt down. And, I did it again. I glued it. So we're going to have to clean that off. Good thing it's fresh, right? That's what happens when you break your model apart. So I'm going to start by putting a little bit of glue on the bottom side. That was way too much. So I'm going to take some of it off. Whoop. Note to self. Glue the other end in the future. Glue this end here. And then put a little dab there. Hold that in place best you can. You may need tweezers. I got some glue on the bottom, sticking my finger to it. Set that aside. Bring this piece back. I'm going to glue the head on. And normally I would put the glue in the divot here. Well, actually, I might still do that. Nope. I'm just going to put a little dab. Right there. I might have my head looking towards the gun side. the white autocannon side. Just because I like that kind of thing. And set that aside, let it dry. Really, all that's left is the bottom two chain guns of this, and gluing that on there, and finding my missing magnetized piece, which in this basement could be gone to Never Never Land forever ever. Probably because they're my cats. Now let's take a look at the bottom here. Let's see how this goes in here. Well, it's not so bad. Basically, you're going to want to put a little bit of glue on the base here, I think, or the bottom of the chain gun, and just a dab in the little divot, because actually the divot is the important part of this piece, I think. I glued my finger to the top because it didn't wait long enough. Go like that. Hold the chain in and push that belt up there as best you can against the bottom of the chain gun, and your piece will be glued in. Pretty much. Don't drop it though, like I just did, because you might break the chain off. The chain is almost a perfect fit, and it could be if I took a little bit more time with it. I will on the next one. Way too much glue. I need some of that off of there. And just a drop, not even a drop, just a dab for the chain gun on this side. Put the chain gun in first. It is a little bit of a struggle to get it in there perfectly. It's actually quite a struggle because the belt doesn't match perfectly. Let's try it with the tweezers. Some really good, nice. Yeah, that's pretty darn good looking though. That's an awesome looking piece, really. Is it too late? Yeah, it's too late to move them. And now, the finale. Da-da-da-da-da. Put some glue in the big joint here. Now, I actually thought about filing this down, flattening it out, and putting a magnet in there. I think that's kind of like overkill. See if it's where I want it to be. Now, on the next one I do, I'm not going to glue this right away because I want to be able to paint it. Weapon 1. Weapon 2. Non-magnetized. Magnetized, I have to find that other piece. This one has a little bit of extra glue on it, so I need to clean this off a little bit before I try it. We'll do that in a second. Obviously that piece is magnetized. And, well, we can test the magnet. Oh, it's the wrong side. That's good. It's got some extra super glue on it, that's why there's a gap. I gotta clean it up. And the double light field cannon. Boom, 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 boom. There you have it. Hussar Tank variant with most of its bits. I seem to have... It's probably sticking to a piece of metal here somewhere. I really don't know where it would have shot to. I didn't hear it hit the floor. But that is a Hussar Tank variant. Magnetized. Look at that. 1 millimeter rare earth magnet is enough to pick up the whole Hussar. That's how light this vehicle weighs. And how strong a rare earth magnet is. 4 turrets with 5 different variants. Extra head, 2 extra hands, and when I find it, another rocket pod. Thanks for watching Through Gamer Goggles in another complete package. Shortly, I hope to get this into an off the palette and start painting it and put it into the NuCoal colors before Origins Game Fair this year. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, please leave them at the bottom of this post. Contact us on YouTube. Follow us on YouTube. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter. And of course, always pay homage to our friends at DreamPod9 for making this great game, giving us models that really, I mean, if you take a look at this model, they really put a lot of thought into it, because the turret, well, I guess that is a little bit of a dilemma the way I made it. Since the turret's not in the middle, it won't spin all the way real time. But they applied the science in this, because if you got the arms down, this turret isn't going to rotate all the way around, so they put the second turret on top of the model. I think that was pretty smart of them. They really put a lot of time in thinking about what they wanted this vehicle to do in their game world. I have to give them a lot of credit for that, because a lot of companies will just kind of overlook it and say it looks cool. I truly believe they put a lot of thought into not only how this model was going to look, but how it would effectively work in quote-unquote real life. Again, thank you. This is Matt Lemke with Gamer Goggles. Gamer-goggles.com.